Hi, and welcome to the Crit Hit Wild podcast, where we cover all things Marvel Crisis Protocol, and we do a new character every week. This week, we're going to be talking about Black Panther, and I'm your host, Fred.
I'm Brad.
I'm Steven.
I'm Borka.
Hey, Borka, how's it going?
Pretty good.
we don't have Brandon right now, and we don't know why. He's just AWOL. He's absent without leave. So we brought in Borka because he was present at the tournament that we just played in, and it would be great to have his take on this stuff. So I just ruined a future segment. We're going to talk a lot about a tournament today because we just had our local BECC qualifying event, and it was a ton of fun. I really enjoyed it. It was a great time, and we will discuss that later. But before we do that, let's talk about some news coming out of AMG. So they released the information packet for the War of Kings box. That is the box that contains Gladiator and several new Crisis cards. The info graphic that they gave us has one complete Crisis card on it, and three others that are different levels of blocked off. But we know that there's two 17 threats, a 16 threat, and an 18 threat. Brad, are there going to be any more? Were there supposed to be 6 Crisis cards?
In fact, there are 5 of each, according
5
to
of each.
the back of the box. There are 10 total Crisis cards.
That is a lot of new Crises. Okay.
Yeah.
That is cool. The one that we do know everything about is called Guardians Save Shi'ar Empress in Style. I'm not going to read through the entire thing, but it is a brand new board setup. It is very similar to a sword base, but it's actually slightly different. It's slightly further apart from a sword base.
Yeah, it's somewhere in between what a B and a sword base would be.
Yeah, it's a vague rectangle instead of a square, or a pretty strong rectangle. And it's another pay to flip. Oh wait, no, hold on. Is it a pay to flip?
Yeah.
It is a pay to flip. Yeah. I thought so.
And you always roll 3 dice.
Yes. And it is. I think that this is unlike sword bases. It's going to be more dependent upon the number of people who are contesting it.
It's
Oh boy.
It is
Mysterio is
literally
happy.
the number of.
It is, which makes it relevant for Kingpin. Kingpin, this is the pay to flip that Kingpin is still relevant on pay to flips, but more so than sword base.
Hold on.
The number of healthy enemy characters, and he counts as 2 enemy. He makes his people count as 2 characters, right?
Not on flips.
Not on flips.
Not on flips? Oh,
I'm
then
pretty
never
sure.
mind.
I think it's the wording on Kingpin's card. I think it's when you are securing, you count as 2.
Oh, okay. When you're scoring,
when an
for
ally, when a healthy allied character contesting an objective token counts as 2 healthy characters when determining who is securing an objective token.
There it is. Okay, Never mind. I take it back.
That's never worked that way. This one's got a cool mechanic where you get a reroll die if you're holding an extract.
Yeah. So it benefits you from holding an extract while you're trying to flip the pay to flip.
And the one we can mostly see, it looks like you score an extra VP if you have the extract that card is near a secure objective token.
Yes, I think so. These two go together quite well.
Well, yeah, and I think that's just a cool place to take the design of these. Like, making them more interact with each other is cool.
Yeah, I agree. we have been joined by Brandon. Brandon just joined us. Hey, Brandon, how's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
I'm doing all right. We just started, and we were talking about the new Gladiator box. All right. Well, there's one more piece of information that AMG gave us, and that is the release date for the new Inhumans box. And I, of course, did not have that readily available.
I'm pretty
to me.
sure it's March 14th.
That is correct. Along with the War of Kings box is March 14th as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Brad wouldn't know everything there is to know about Inhumans, so we gotta trust him.
No. I knew it was the same day as the Gladiator box, and I know when the Gladiator box comes out because Gladiator is a cool character.
And the what makes that very specifically relevant is that it is a day before one of the upcoming tournaments that I'm about to talk about. Speaking of which, upcoming tournaments, there is a tournament coming up this Saturday. That is Saturday the 25th of January at Fabricators Forge in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That is run by Bryce. He runs a very good event. Everyone should go visit who are in the area. It'll be fun. And then coming up later on March the 15th is the Akron Brew Brawl, which will be the final BECC qualifying event held at the Missing Falls Brewery in Akron, Ohio. This will be a big, major springtime event, and I personally will be attending, as will... I don't want to call out anyone else on the pod. They may not. But I will be there. So
I will also be there. Probably.
Okay.
Likely.
Likely. Yeah.
I bought a ticket as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So at least 3 of us will be there.
And we're going to bully Brandon into going.
Yes. Yeah.
Brandon, did you see the new update on the point standings?
No, I'm not in that. No, I was never invited into that Discord.
Oh, we can fix that. Anyway, you're in the top 8 now.
He forgot. Bryce forgot to update my points. By the way, I'm
oh
still
no!
at 4.
Well, just let Bryce know.
And
He'll fix it.
Yeah, we gotta fix that. We're talking about BECC points, everyone out there, and now Brandon is in the top 8.
Now he has to go to Akron so he can qualify.
Right. Now we've got to make him go.
Am I literally just 8th?
No.
No, you're 6th.
We're going to be tied for 6th, Brandon.
Look at that.
Yep. All right, while they're looking this up and trying to correct it, let us move along to the tournament that we just participated in. That was our BECC qualifier, and it was a ton of fun. There were, was it 12 people in attendance, Brad?
Yeah,
I'm
12
pretty sure that's
people. I didn't play to make it even. We had some last-minute things come up for people who had to drop. But still, pretty good turnout.
Mm-hmm. And it was a lot of fun. We went 4 rounds, so everyone got their money's worth, I'm pretty sure. But how should we do this? How should we break this up? I
Fred
think
dodged
that...
me.
Sorry, what?
Said Fred dodged me.
I did. I dodged Brandon.
And me.
And Steven.
Oh, yeah.
In fact...
This is where I take over, Fred, because I didn't play, and I told you I would run this segment. All right, so
That's right.
We had our 12 people, and, of course, it was random pairings the first round, except I made sure that Princeton didn't play each other and Pittsburgh didn't play each other. That worked out pretty well. And on table 2, the first person on this podcast that I see is Fred versus Nick.
Yeah, this game. Okay, so I was playing Web Warriors, and so I played my base. I'm my base Web Warriors in this game. I lose priority, so Nick chooses his secures. 2 out of 3 of his secures are fine for me. You know, he has Infinity Formula. He has another one which is okay, but then he of course has Gamma. And guess what I draw? I draw Gamma. which is a terrible place for me to start. And then he draws my Paranoia Pummel's Populace, which gives me the choices of 15 and 16 for the point levels. I'm already off to a terrible start. I choose 15 because I figure I'd go 5 wide at 15 and try to score as many points as I can, as quick as I can, and try and win. I play Miles Morales, Black Cat, Spectacular Spider-Man, Ghost Spider, and Moon Knight as my 15. And he plays Namor with the Time Gem, Agent Venom, Baron Zemo, and Black Widow. This went so bad for me. Agent Venom posted up in the middle next to Zemo and Namor. So Agent Venom had 2 rerolls. On the first activation of round 2, Agent Venom makes 1 attack against Spectacular Spider-Man, dazes him. He does a beam attack, dazes, he swings to get in position, then does a beam attack, dazes both Miles and Moon Knight. And I have 2 activations in round 2 to actually do anything. With Ghost Spider and Black Cat, who are both horribly out of position because they went and got Paranoia Pummel's Populaces. It was so bad. I lose this game really fast. He won 16-7, and 6 of those 7 points I scored in the first round. So I essentially just got annihilated.
Fred,
that is my round 1.
The 2 that were out of position, did they end up taking 2 damage each? Like Black Cat and whoever you said it was, because
Black Cat took 2 damage, and then Ghost Spider I held her back. I held her back on my back point.
Oh, okay.
But she was still way out of position to do anything of use.
Okay. The next game I see going down the list is Borka versus Bryce.
Oh. Yeah, I played Bryce round 1, and I've played him twice before. He's from Pittsburgh. Good player, super good dude. The first time we played, it was a mirror. We were both playing Avengers, and now this time, I'm expecting to play Avengers, but I look at his roster, and it's a bunch of Cabal. So I've been playing Cabal, about 4 months now, according to the Longshanks. It was Alien Ship and Gamma, and I had Prio, and then he ended up picking 15. So he went with the very scary 15 of Red Skull, Thanos, and Zemo, and I took Red Skull, Ultron 2, and Hulk. And first 2 rounds were pretty dicey. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to pull it out. Thanos gave him a lot of nice control. He kind of kept Hulk out of it, and was able to kind of move Ultron around. He pulled Ultron in at one point. But like a theme throughout most of my games today, Red Skull 2 is an absolute champ, and he loves me, and I love him. And he just did fantastic work. He one-shotted a flip Zemo for me, dropped another guy. And then the very last turn, we ended up going to all 6 turns, which is funny when you think about this is, Gamma down the middle to Red Skull beat face list, but we went to turn 6, and he had priority with his Thanos, and I had a flipped, fully healthy Red Skull, and he put 2 attacks into him. He could not kill him, and I was able to score all the points and get the win, 14-10. And it was a good game. It was nice to kind of see how that mirror match works. Thanos is really good, but even though Hulk was slowed down, and he was kind of like 50-50 on his attacks. If I did make 2 attacks, one of them was always a whiff, but the other one was pretty good, so it balanced out. But his just mobility and control really works out really well. And there was a lot of health for him to chew through. I think the time that he spent dealing with Hulk and even Ultron, that allowed me to get work done with Red Skull kind of behind the scenes. But yeah, really good game and close victory. When we got to turn 6, we were both kind of like, like we just sprinted. But yeah, it was a good game.
And you did mean Red Skull 3, not Red Skull 2, right?
Oh yeah, Red Skull 3. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
He's never on my mind. Red Skull
Yeah.
2.
Okay. That sounds awesome. Yeah, when you guys were done, I think were you the second game done?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then he said that they played all 6 rounds. I was like, "What?" And then 3 miles each. Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. We are both fairly experienced, and I mean we were humming.
Yeah. All right. Next on this list is Brandon versus Jason.
As someone who was right beside Josh or Borka and Bryce's game, it was really fun to watch. There was a lot going on. I played Jason. You played Apocalypse. We played Scrolls Infinity Formula at 20 threat. Um, I was playing Midnight Suns with Dracula. So at 20, I played Immortal Hulk, Dracula, Blade. Gonna do some math now. And Frank, Adam. Then I played my boy Adam. Um, this game was really not in a bad way. Like he was still learning Apocalypse. He played Apocalypse, Psylocke, Colossus, Beast, and Magic. So he had all 4 horsemen and Apocalypse, but he moved Apocalypse onto my home Infinity Formula on turn 1 because he attacked. He got up on his and he was able to attack, and then he was able to like famine jump onto mine, which was fine at the time, except for I had not activated Immortal Hulk yet, who won below all and then bumped and was able to double tap and throw him like 3 times. And so I dazed Apocalypse on turn 1.
Oh gosh.
Um, and then going into turn 2, obviously he was just like on a back foot. On the other side of the table, he had brought Psylocke and Colossus into the center. He then had to run Colossus over to try to protect Apocalypse and bodyguard him. And then it was Psylocke was just standing in front of Dracula. So Dracula decided to walk Psylocke to him and then just punch her in the face a couple of times. Magic tried to throw Dracula away, and then I just was able to like wolf, and that's not once per turn, so I wolfed again, and then I was on his home B. Frank and Adam just held down the other left side B. So I had the left side really locked up, and then Immortal Hulk just did what he did on the other side. He just would throw Colossus away so he couldn't bodyguard, and then would just punch Apocalypse to death. And that was the moral of that game. I won 18-9.
Okay. And then our last game on our last table was Steven versus Jeff. How'd it go, Steven?
Yes. It went. I I have a new philosophy to start writing down all the games I do, so it would help me out. That's my New Year's resolutions for MCP. Not to paint more models, but just to record my games. So I think my priorities are mixed up. But we were playing. Jeff was playing Criminal Syndicate with Kingpin, and we were the missions that we had chosen were Meteors and Paranoia, and we were at 16. He had taken Kingpin, Abomination, Sandman, and Lizard, whereas I countered with Green Goblin, Lizard, Mysterio, Craven, and Dr. Octopus. Things were pretty even round 1 because after everything was done, we had scored 4 points each. And then in round 2, Jeff scores up on me, and it's 8-7. His lizard had survived on 1. I was trying to kill him very, very badly, and things were just not working. His abomination was kind of wrecking out the middle. So in round 3, Craven wakes up, promptly takes out Abomination by himself, and there was a little help with Mysterio throwing out the Grand Illusion, and then I did well played plans, even though his kingpin was the only one holding an objective. So I could get it away from him to make him move towards the objective, towards the extract, or towards the secure. So it was a darned if you do, darned if you don't. And I had Dace Lizard that turn, and then I took quite a bit of a lead because he went from 8 to 9, and I went from 7 to 14 on that turn, and then we finished out on round 4, and the final score was 12-20. Jeff's always a good player. It just makes me think. His list, by the way, was Kingpin, Abomination, Sandman, and Lizard. And like I said, I had Green Goblin, Lizard, Mysterio, Craven, Dr. Octopus, because I thought going wider would be the key to this game. So.
And you were correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
So after the first round, this current podcast crew doing pretty well with only Fred dropping the ball. Let's go to round 2. It's also worth noting that Pittsburgh, a very good group of players, very nice guys, are how many were there? There were 4 of them, right? So they are 1-3 as a group right now. They were a little heartbroken that after the first round, Nick's the only one that could possibly win this tournament.
There were 5 of them, and they were 1-4 after the first round.
Okay, yeah. That Nick was the only one that won his game.
Yeah, because Jeff, Jason, Bryce, and Les all dropped their first game.
Yes, there were 4. I was trying to do a quick count in my head, and I missed somebody. I don't remember.
Yeah.
All right. So, round 2, everybody Fred in the winner's bracket, and the first game I have here on table 1 is Steven versus Brandon.
Yes. Brandon, you want to talk about this?
No, I will go over what we played and who I played, and then I'll let you take the wheel here.
Sure.
So we played Paranoia and Mutant Madmen. Steven won priority and chose Secure, so he got Mutant Madmen. It was my Paranoia. We played 16 Threat. I played Encantu, Frank, Dracula, and Blade. And go, Steven, go.
Yeah, I had Goblin, Ghost Rider, Sandman, and Lizard. So first round we go into it, and I don't know. You got a lot of damage into my Sandman somehow. I forget how. Do you remember?
I wolfed up and punched him in the face.
Yeah, that's right. Dracula, who I got very, very scared of very, very quickly. So
yeah, Sandman came up and took my far right Paranoia, and Dracula with his long move medium base is able to get in range 2 and punch him and give him. I think I gave him Hex.
He gave me Hex. Yeah. And then so being a little bit cautious, Brandon goes up 4-3 on this scenario in turn 1. Like I said, the most exciting thing was Dracula coming up and punching things real hard. But other than that, I guess Encantu and Lizard were facing off against each other. So second round, I actually go up 9-7 because Brandon has a string of bad luck. So I made a play with Sandman that Brandon pointed out that was very good. I had a lot of power, so I used my sand constructs to teleport out of there and to get away and stand next to Ghost Rider so he could kind of protect me. And then Encantu and Lizard started facing off, and Lizard was getting the better of that exchange. Would you agree with that, sir?
Yeah, this game really flipped kind of like on turn 2, kind of was the score indicated. I think at the end of turn 2, Steven had 3 of the Madmen and 3 Paranoia after having 1 Madman and 2 Paranoia after round 1. There were a couple attacks that just it were the sequence of Ghost Rider was able to do a beam attack and 5 dice dealt 6 damage to Adam and dazed him, and then Sandman was able to put 5 damage on Blade with the beam attack he has, as well as Dracula. And Sandman's activation started out pretty well because the constructs didn't do anything, and grunts usually take all the work. Um, and then like Sandman's first attack didn't really do much, and then the second attack was like, I'm just gonna do this beam. And then it's like, all right, now Blade has 5 damage on him, and Dracula has like 4 damage on him, and I'm like, well, this couldn't have went more sideways. So then I had to activate Blade, and then he did the absorption thing he had mentioned. I was able to move Blade away because Blade was going to die. I couldn't really let Blade just die. So I moved him back to my home B. I was able to flip it and not um, get anything from the Madmen. And then he activated Ghost Rider, and that's when he was able to daze Adam and put damage on Encantu, who then was like, I don't want to be a part of this anymore, and decided to go throw Mystic attacks into Lizard, doing, I think, 1 damage to Lizard, who then
Yeah,
ended up
one
just being
damage.
like, I'll just healing factor this off, while Lizard flipped both of the Bs on that side. Um, and then, like I said, me and Steven talked about it after the game, like, this, like, dice are dice, but like he played this game so perfectly. Like there was nothing I could truly do to try to get back into it because of the way the scenario was set up and the way he positioned himself, that I spent the rest of the game just getting as many points as I could. I mean, I didn't try to like lose the game, but I was definitely doing, like, I was trying to get points, and uh, I was able to have a pretty big turn with Adam where he was able to charge over, make an attack, and then throw a size 4 piece of terrain. Um, Pretty sure that
Yeah,
was the only character I dazed was with that
yeah,
piece of terrain.
yeah. It was Ghost
No,
Rider.
I, he dazed 2 people that turn because he dazed Sandman and then he dazed Ghost Rider.
Hmm.
Uh, but he wasn't able to obviously pick up both of the paranoia tokens. Um, I couldn't. I didn't have like a good chance to just go chase one down because this was kind of away from the rest of the scenarios, and at this point I was still trying to get other points and try to close the gap because there was no chance. Um, Lizard was just surviving every mystic attack with rerolls I was doing on the other side, so like I didn't have a chance to try to like table him to get back into this game. Um, like I didn't have, there weren't enough dazes. Like I wasn't able to get any damage really into Green Goblin. Um, so like
Yeah,
damage was
I
not the
was.
way I had to win. I was having to try to get lucky, and Steven positioned himself perfectly to like stay away from that.
Yeah, Goblin's hit and run was kind of big too. So
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, everything he did was like he positioned himself perfectly and put me in terrible situation to try to find or do anything. So it was definitely a game. Thankfully, which this will be relevant later, I was able to kind of close the point gap. Um, Steven ended up winning this one 20-15. Um, so this loss having a relatively small gap ended up being pretty helpful.
yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Sounds like a really good game. Uh,
I also tried to convince Steven to not switch from Spider Foes because he plays them really, really well, and he should stick to playing them.
the next table, table two, was Borka versus JP.
Yeah, round two there against JP. He's somebody I've known for a long time. Uh, been playing a little over a year now, I think, and him and my other buddy from Princeton, they both doing a great job learning and getting better every time we go against him. He was playing Asgard. I'm playing. My list is only Cabal, so I'm playing Cabal all these games. And then a theme that will happen for the rest of the tournament for me, I lose priority. I only had priority in the first game, and we ended up Hammers Gamma, which makes sense because he's playing Asgard and I'm playing Cabal, and he chose 15 threat, and his team was Mighty Thor, Loki 2, and Ultron 2. And then I went with Red Skull, Zemo, Mystique, and Namor. I've recently added hammers, and I try to run Mystique if the points work every time I play hammers, because you just give her your home hammer and she gets really obnoxious. Being able to roll 5 dice with rapid fire trigger on a hit, and then if there's a juicy target in range, I'll dark rain them, and she can just about top to bottom anybody by herself. So she does a great job with that. This was a fun game. It was it felt awful for me the first 2 turns. Like he was doing a great job with his attacks, and I felt like anytime I got a decent attack, he had a good defense roll, and I just felt like I wasn't doing any damage to him, and he was beating me up pretty good, and his position was in good spot. I was hoping to get the safe grab on one side with Namor, but he smartly ran up and grabbed that hammer with Loki. So I had to grab the other flank hammer with Zemo, and then he was able to walk up and shoot him with Mighty Thor and start putting some damage on him and create a little melee on that side. But up until about turn 2, going into turn 3, it really felt like it wasn't going to be my day. And then all of a sudden, a trigger just switched. Once again, Red Skull. His activations were really great. He did a lot of work. Namor had some strong plays for me too. Getting out stagger, his mobility was really helpful. So on the middle point, he had a Loki who had 2 hammers. He had just dazed my Mystique the turn before to take that hammer. Well, then when came back to my turn, I went ahead and dark rained Loki, and Mystique with just her 4 dice attacks were able to kill him, pick up the 2 hammers. So then I had a choice because by now Zemo and Mighty Thor were on my back point, and on his back point I had Namor and Red Skull. And I thought, well, I can stand here and do 2 7 dice attacks into Mighty Thor. Well, most likely 7 dice attacks, right? Because you're not guaranteed to get a hit, but hopefully you get a hit on 7 dice. And try to daze her and just end the game. Or use that long move, get all the way on his back point, and be the whole board away from Mighty Thor, who at that point was the last character. I also had Princess Protection too, so I was in a spot where I just thought, don't be greedy. Just ran down, put her on that back point, and he was stuck in a position where he could try to move and charge, but then I was going to be able to Princess Protection, so he just stood there and killed Loki, got his last point, and the game ended there at 17. And as soon as the game was over, we were kind of looking at the board, and he said, that felt like it was going really good for me. And all of a sudden it wasn't. And I kind of laughed. I said, I know exactly what you meant. I said, it felt like this was going terrible. And then all of a sudden, hey, I just won. So that, once again, that's the power of Red Skull, the master of the world. His leadership I love it. It just really smooths out a lot of attacks for you. An attack that could be 2 hits most of the time can real quick become 4 hits, which is really, really great. And then he has such a great toolbox, being able to place himself, place other people. He also has a great throw. I mean, he's an all-around great piece. But yeah, that was the final score, 17-10. JP played a really good game. It's just that turn 3, everything kind of went my way, and I was able to pull out the win. But it could have easily ended up, 17-10 the other way. So it was a good game. Had a lot of fun.
Okay, awesome. This doesn't involve anyone on the podcast, but I just want to mention that the next table down, Brandon beats Nick, taking Pittsburgh out of the winning for this tournament. They cannot win this tournament now. Sad day for them. Last time they came down for one of these, was it Les won? One of the Pittsburgh guys won. I think it was Les.
Yeah, Les got me, and then he played Bryce for the championship, and Les got it. That was the first one. And to be fair to Pittsburgh, the last BEC when we went to Pittsburgh, they had a really strong day. They're a bunch of good players. Like, as I was kind of looking around before it started, I told, Brandon and JP, I said, this is a really good tournament. Like, even Michael, who's like didn't do great yesterday, is a very good player. He just
Yeah.
rarely ever gets to play.
Yeah.
So I said this is going to be a buzzsaw for a 12-man tournament. There's a
I
lot of good players here.
I think this was Michael's first game of MCP since second wind, maybe. Like,
I think you're
I
right.
bet you're right. Yeah.
yeah, it's been months since he's played. And unfortunately, Michael went. He was the one that ended up going 0-4. But in a little Shark Tank like this, like someone's gotta, and it's gonna be a good player. So,
Right.
and
At one point we were like, you probably don't even know some of the cards that came out recently. He said, I didn't know all the cards I was playing. And we were like, yeah, that's fair.
he was playing Abomination and Wrecking Crew.
Wrecking Crew. Yeah,
And
yeah, that's what he said. He
He
said,
had never played them before. Never. So, good on him
Oh.
for showing up and giving it the old college try.
And it was at this time that Brad gave me one of the most subtle compliments ever.
I did. I don't even know what it was.
Yeah. Oh, you said, yeah, it looks like West Virginia is going to win this tournament.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just completely forgetting that Steven wasn't even from West Virginia.
Yeah, exactly.
Oops. Okay. The last game on the last table is Fred versus Bryce. Fred, tell us how this went.
Okay, so this game where my previous game I drew the worst possible scenarios for me, I drew the best possible scenarios for me in the given choices. I won priority, and so I chose my secures, and we draw Cosmic Invasion, and I draw his alien ship extract. So I'm playing Web Warriors, so I play with my base 9 threat. That's Spectacular, Miles Morales, and Black Cat. And then I have Namor and Ghost Spider. And that evens out to 17 threat. That's how big this game is. Bryce is playing his Cabal, and he chooses Red Skull 3, Thanos with 2 stones, and Baron Zemo and Bullseye. So my first thought looking at this is I need to hide from these guys and try and score as much as I can. I end up luring both Red Skull and Thanos over to my left side secure, and he kind of overcommits them on that side. He dazes Spectacular Spider-Man over there and Ghost Spider, and things are not looking great. And then I stagger both Red Skull and Thanos using Black Cat and Namor, and I all webbed up both Thanos and Red Skull as far from the action as possible, and then I run away. That was the thing that really flipped this game in my favor. He was stuck with people who are stuck moving slow really far out, and Red Skull honestly did not have much power left on him at this point, because I think that I did him 1 damage with Namor when I charged in and staggered him, and then Namor ran away. So he's unable to do his place thing. He's unable to move very far, and he has no targets. So he spends a round just like shaking slow and getting out of the quagmire that I stuck him in, and that set him far enough back that I was able to really pull out a win here. Also, he committed Bullseye to the other side, and Miles Morales attacked him twice, did no damage, but I got my wild trigger on both of my webline kicks against him, and I threw him 2 times, and I threw him so far away that he couldn't. He was outside of range 3 of Miles and couldn't. He had to. His first action with him that turn is he had to walk closer, and then make 1 throwing knife attack against Miles, which did nothing. So this was a case where spider people did spider things, and it won me the game. I won 16-7. and usually Bryce crushes me. Just speaking frankly, Bryce is a better player than I am, and this I felt like I had all the tools I needed to deal with Thanos, and it felt really good. This was a game where Web Warriors did what they're supposed to do. All right, well, and that was my game. That was my second round.
Okay. So the podcast is doing pretty well so far. We got some 2-0s, some 1-1s, and we go into the third round. And on table one, it's Borka versus the other Brandon, the Brandon that's not on the podcast, that had just knocked Nick out, who's been playing Black Order since, like, as long as I can remember anyway. So, Borka, how'd this go?
This was a good game. This was a very very hard fought game. I lost priority again, and we ended up on hammers and demons, which I wasn't thrilled about because I know that Glaive will kill most things without a hammer. So when he gets one, it's even worse. So I decided to go 19 because I felt that I didn't want to play a smaller threat value against the little kill box of Glaive, Proxima, and Thanos, which in the long run worked out. He had Thanos, Glaive, Proxima, and Supergiant, and I went with Red Skull, Mystique again because of hammers, Bullseye, Ultron 2, and Namor. And it was difficult. He ended up scoring 2 points during the first 2 turns off of killing grunts. But after the first grunt died, because I went pretty far to the right, and he kind of went out of his way to kill that grunt. And so it sucked to lose the point, but it also was thinning his army out, his team, I guess you'd call it. And they were moving kind of flat instead of coming towards me. And so I threw another piece of train and created another drones and put them even further out. And he had another character go out there and get it. And so I was thinking, well, I don't love giving him victory points, but at the same time, this is kind of setting his team up so they're not supporting each other quite as well. And it really was a hard fought battle. The big highlight for me, I think I was just able to keep Ultron and Namor kind of on the outskirts of the battle. And then Mystique, Bullseye, and Red Skull were fighting down the middle. This was another game that, honestly, Red Skull, he did everything for me. I was able to get Glaive flipped, and after Glaive had a pretty nasty turn, I was able to Dark Rain him and get him off the table. And Red Skull was also able to take out Supergiant from range. And to kind of finish out the game, I was able to yoink his Thanos in the middle of my team because he walked up and threw Ultron way to the back. And so I wasn't going to have a bunch of options. So instead, I just moved his Thanos towards my Ultron when, after Red Skull double tapped, Ultron double tapped. And it was a close game. It ended up 18-14 was the final score. The big thing, I think, with that game is just that his Glaive is, you guys all know, I mean, that's a new weapon. It can just kind of take things out. And I was able to kind of skate around it and not let him commit to any one area and then do damage from range. And once again, Red Skull's leadership really is nice to make damage consistent. And his hammers again, so Mystique did some work. Bullseye, heck, I think Bullseye put 4 damage on Midnight before she ever really did anything, just because she had to be close enough, and I just kept doing the auto 1 damage to her. And the nice thing with that list being kind of wide is, you had 2 5s in your leader, and Mystique and Bullseye kind of went under the radar for a while. And where I had more activations than him, he wasn't able to really pin any one guy down. And once again, broken record, but it was a really good close game. I mean, we went, I think, ended it on turn 5. It was hard fought. I was glad to get through it. He's gotten really good. Black Order, I mean, like every tournament, places higher and higher. And it's funny because you do see a lot of Thanos running around Cabal right now, but you don't see a lot of just Thanos Black Order as much, with the old school glaive and things like that. So there's newer players, I think, that don't even know what's coming. You know what I mean? They're just like, yeah, I'll move this guy up, and then they just pull it into the middle of the meat grinder. It's like, that character's dead. You got anybody else you want to feed me? But great game. Once again, Namor did really well. He's a kind of a recent addition. Big surprise, like Namor's good, but I found that playing him under Red Skull, I tend to get that damage through for the stagger on Imperious Rex a lot more than when I played him in other factions. So that makes me happy. He was kind of frustrating me before because I felt like I never got the attack off to get the stagger. But yeah, good game. Once again, I mean, Red Skull kind of carried the day and work that I needed. So a good win.
Okay. And we did learn some things at dinner afterwards. Some rules interactions like the timing for Red Skull was different than we thought. And the big one I didn't know that Domino Malekith's change skulls to crits thing. I knew it didn't actually physically change the die, but I thought it counted as a crit and a skull, but it no longer counts as a skull. Blew my mind. The next table down, this was a pair down, so this would determine if there was going to be another round or not. We had Steven versus JP. So Steven, take it away.
Sure. Playing JP, and this was the first time I ever got to play him, so it was a pleasure. We rolled up and we got alien ship and meteors, and I had priority. Of course, as mentioned before, he was playing Asgard, and with this, since it's alien ships and meteors, we had no choice. It was 17 that we had to play, and he decided to take Jane Foster, Loki. I call him Lying Loki for Loki 2, Sif and Valkyrie, and I countered with Goblin, Lizard, Mysterio, Venom, and Dr. Octopus. Pretty uneventful round one. Things were even at 3-3, but round two is where, oh my gosh, that list has so much attrition, it's not even funny, because my Venom, Goblin, Mysterio, Lizard all got dazed that round, and he went up 4-6. It was just, oh my god, things happened and people were starting to go away, and I thought I was losing this game here. So round three, I popped Grand Illusion on Mysterio because he was over where Loki was, and Jane Foster, Sif, and Valkyrie were on the other side. My Mysterio, my Doc Ock, and my Venom were on the side with Loki and Jane Foster, Thor, Goblin, and Lizard on the other side, taking care of Valkyrie and Sif. Goblin does custom upgrades on Sif, and then promptly dazes her by doing his little glider ram. After that, he proceeds to not do anything because he can't pick up anything or flip anything. So Lizard takes that out, takes Valkyrie out, does his job in flipping things. I believe that this time is where Venom goes down, but not before taking out Jane Foster because she had used a Doom Prophecy and on the turn before, and so she wasn't rolling any defense dice. Mysterio was a pain for Loki, and then Doc Ock took care of Loki that turn. So JP was still up at this point, 6-10, but then Goblin had a heroic turn in where he in round 4 he one shots Valkyrie off the table, and with Jane Foster and Valkyrie off the table, and Loki dazed. Sif really couldn't do anything, and at this point, I pull ahead 12-10. He doesn't score any points this round, and then in round number 5, I score out 18-10. Like I said, I thought I was going to lose this game because my stuff was just disappearing like crazy, getting dazed. But everybody except Venom stood in dazed and, took care of what they needed to take care of. So I was very surprised. It was one of those games where it's just like, oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me. But, just because character gets dazed doesn't mean you're out of the game. And you just have to play a little bit smarter. That's all. So, anyway, it was nice playing JP.
Okay, awesome. So that means that in the 4th round, it'll be Borka versus Steven for the finals, which will be the last game we talk about in round 4. We got a couple more round 3 games. So Brandon played Nick. Brandon, go.
So I played Nick from Pittsburgh. I won priority. I chose his secures because he had Demon, Gamma, and Infinity Formula, I believe. So having 2 of my 3 secures, we went with those because I did not want to play. He had Montesi Formula, Scrolls, and Hammers, and that wasn't really what I wanted to do. We did pull Demons, which was the one I didn't want to play, so we were on Demons and Cubes. We played 19. He took Namor with the Time Gem, Nicholas J. Fury Jr., and then he also took Nick Fury and the Howling Commandos with Spectacular, Spider-Man, and Baron Zemo. So he went a little bit wider than I slightly anticipated because he had Hulk in his roster. And if there's a Hulk in the roster, I kind of have to take like Immortal Hulk and Iron Fist. At least Iron Fist, like it's almost like an auto grab if I see that across the table. So I played Immortal Hulk, Iron Fist, Dracula Blade. Um, because I was fearful that he was going to go really tall. Um, so we went into that. Go
Did you
ahead.
play Dracula this game, or were you like
Yeah.
leadership, or were you Midnight Suns?
Nah, yeah, I played Midnight Suns.
Okay.
Yeah, I was under Blade. I was under Blade for every round except for one, which we haven't got to yet. Um, so in this one, because it's so like with Immortal Hulk down the middle, if they try to press the middle line, I can one below all and then bump on the center line and then double tap. Um, the table that we played on, however, had an atrocity terrain situation that caused issues the entire game of just like where everything like all the terrain was like overlapping points. Like there were like building corners on like every point. There was like a car halfway on like the middle objective. Like every point is like obscured somehow. And like you can't stand on a point very well and you have to position really awkwardly. Um, I most of my bumps in this game were literally just to put myself in like on the point properly because the way everything was laid out. Um, this is just me complaining to Brad about it again because we did during the game as well
So
because it was fun.
what you're saying is the terrain was properly set up to matter in the game.
It was trash. No, it was fine. There was no size 4 terrain, which was unfortunate for me having playing the Immortal Hulk. I couldn't throw big pieces of terrain at anyone. This was the table that had 2 5s on it.
It did not have 2 5s. No table had 2 5s.
It had a 5. It didn't have a 4. It had like 3 3s and I think a 5.
And a 4. There was a
Either
4 on there. The big building's a 4.
Oh, I'm pretty
It's
sure we thought that was
labeled.
a 5.
It is labeled as a 4.
Meh. I'm pretty sure we thought it was a 5. Oh, it was in the left. Yeah, we weren't over there. We were down the center. That was like in the back left corner. Yeah, we weren't near that building. I couldn't throw that at anybody unless I had Abomination's long throw. Anyhow, I moved Iron Fist up and took the center cube, and where Iron Fist gets 2 power a turn, I'm able to get the center cube and then bump backwards out of the semi meat grinder that he has set up on his roster with all the range, 4 attacks with Spectacular, Commandos, Nick Fury, Namor's long charge, and Zemo's long move in. So he wasn't able to necessarily get any attacks on Iron Fist the first round. So I just kind of collected cubes on my side. I got the 3 that I had access to, and then the point. I then moved Immortal Hulk to the center point because he could withstand some of the attacks, and I knew I was going to retain priority because I was a model less than him. So I kind of did that. There wasn't a lot of damage coming through, and then the second round, Hulk was able to kind of get down to work, and the game he got a stagger off like every turn. I didn't use one below all early because he didn't have anyone on the center line, so I was just able to move Hulk up, sit on the middle demon, and then start punching people. There was a turn where he left Immortal Hulk with like 1 damage holding 2 cubes. And then the cubes took him out, which gave him the immortality token. He had 10 power, so he went down to 5. I also had priority. Or I didn't have priority. This was the turn he had priority because I had previously dazed everybody else, I think. Besides Namor. This was the turn where he sacrificed onto Spectacular when I spendered with Hulk, dazing Spectacular. Prior to that, throwing Spectacular into Nick Fury, dazing Nick Fury. I'd already dazed Zemo. I may have already killed Zemo at that point. So the 3s were just dropping like flies because his rerolls weren't giving him the extra successes that he really needed. But yeah, he was able to activate Namor. He was able to give Immortal Hulk stagger after he had the immortality token, and then was able to get Namor kind of away. He was able to move him back, and then he eye in the skied him out afterwards because I then activated Immortal Hulk and played 1 below all, which if he has the immortality token, he takes off 2 conditions. So I removed the stagger, and then he had given him extra power. So at this point, I think he had like 9 power and was able to he put the spender into Namor. He eye in the sky Namor back behind the building. The spender instead then just decided to take out Nick Fury. So then killed Nick Fury, and we were in a really good spot at this point, where he just had I think he just had an injured Spider-Man and then I killed the Commandos with that activation, but then he had an injured Spider-Man and a Namor. I had Iron Fist on his home E with 8 power. So 1 power short of Iron Fisting. And his first activation the next round, he took out Iron Fist, and then afterwards was like, oh, I don't know if I should have done that. And I said, if you don't do that, I just activate Namor, who's in the back, hiding, and then Immortal Hulk walks over and just kills him. And we decided that was the best thing he could have done because it gave him the access to then be able to activate Namor, and Namor double long moved to my back point where Blade had just been sitting there living his best life, getting me 2 points a turn. I think Blade sat on that point, got me 8 points, living his best life. This game ended with 20-11. I did not lose a model, and he only had Namor left.
Okay.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
But bloody fight on one side. Okay. Next table down was Fred versus Jason.
Yes. So I won priority in this, and we picked Senators and Cosmic Invasion, which was great for me. Like, my first thought is, this is great. Those are both ones that are in my roster. And my opponent, Jason, chooses threat value of 16, which is also very good for me, because I decide to play my core 9, which is Miles, Spectacular Spider-Man, and Black Cat, and then I bring Ghost Spider and Spider-Woman in this match. And I'm thinking, hey, this is a pretty good little toolkit that I've got here to steal anything that he takes, steal Senators, and get away quick. Well, he is playing Apocalypse, and his horsemen are Beast, Iceman, and Sabretooth, the original Sabretooth, Sabretooth 1. I've never seen any of them in an Apocalypse list, because I've only ever really played against Brad, and Brad doesn't play them.
Yeah, they're not in my list.
Yeah. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'll figure this out, and this will go okay. Boy, howdy. Apocalypse is really hard for Web Warriors, because everyone on my team was poisoned, rooted, and slowed real quick. Real quick. And Web Warriors hate all 3 of those. Like, I was locked down way too early, and unable to really get my mobility up, just because I had to pay extra for my swings, and then everyone is slowed because of Iceman. Iceman's great in Apocalypse, I'll say that. One big swing point came I felt like I could have turned things around had I dazed Sabretooth before he activated it on the final round of the game. And so Miles does a Venom Blast into Sabretooth. Does okay damage. Like, I think I did 3 or 4 damage with the attack. And Sabretooth swipes back, does me 3 damage. So I've got the 3 power to do Venom Blast again. I do it, and whiff, of course. So Sabretooth then proceeds to daze both Miles and Spectacular Spider-Man, and I'm pretty much screwed at this point in the game. But what I forgot to do, what I should have done at the beginning of Miles' activation, is have Spectacular Spider-Man do all webbed up, in which case I would have had 2 additional dice for both of those attacks. This is becoming a theme for me, where I'm forgetting to all web up when I should all web up. Something that I realized in this tournament, I mean, I've known this to be the case, but it's something that is really coming into clarity for me, is the success or failure of a Web Warriors team is coming down to how you can successfully utilize all webbed up. It is probably the most important card in my roster.
So, Fred, do you understand now why we were all so upset that you were taking it and not playing it, or just not taking it?
Yes. Like, it's such in my game against Bryce, it is why I won the game. And it would have swung things differently. I mean, I don't know. I can't speak to what didn't happen, but I would have been in a better position in this game had I used it correctly. Anyway, this game ended 17-12 in Jason's favor. He played very well, I should say. Like, nothing. This wasn't just my mistakes. He played it very well. He played Apocalypse very cagey, because the previous 2 rounds for him, Apocalypse got KO'd. One of those was Brandon using Immortal Hulk to KO him. And so he was worried that I was going to pull some stuff and KO Apocalypse. But what that ended up meaning is that Apocalypse was on his back line, and I wasn't able to sneak back there and take his back point, which was what I was trying to do with Spider-Woman. So, oh well.
Here's a question.
Oh, yes?
Over under 25% of the games you've played with Web Warriors, have you used all webbed up?
Over. Way over.
I don't believe you at all.
No, I don't
definitely
either.
over. Definitely
I don't
over.
believe.
No.
Not take it. Actually play the card. Because I don't believe. You have never played it against me.
You and I haven't played in a while.
You've never played it
dodged
against
me,
me.
bro.
That's true.
No, you
That's
played
too
it. I think you did play it this week, but I beat
I
you so
did.
bad in that game, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's a game that we played on Thursday. Brad crushed me, like real bad. Okay, well, that was my round 3.
Okay, so I just wanted to mention another game this round. On the last table was Bryce versus Michael, and it had a very interesting finish. So Bryce had set up his models to score like 6 points, and then KO'd Michael's second to last model, leaving his last model, Bob, on the table, ending the game immediately with Bryce winning and not scoring any additional victory points.
Jeez.
Which Bryce was, I don't think, very happy about because he wanted the victory points, but he did win the game. So he got a win here.
Those victory points could have helped him, though.
Yeah, the you don't see the Bob win very often, so I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, next up, if it will load round 4 games, I think I'll just pick someone. Brandon, how'd your round 4 go?
I was on table 2, so I would have been the game you would have chosen.
Okay, good. Tell us what's happening.
So I get matched up against Les. Even through all my petitioning to get scheduled against Fred, I got matched up against Les on table 2. We were the 2 Midnight Suns players. So there were 12 people in this tournament playing 10 different factions, and the 2 people who played the same faction both had to play the other faction in this event. I won priority and used my secures because he had 2 pay to flips in his. And I don't like pay to flips, and I don't really like pay to flips that much with Midnight Suns either. I understand why he has them because I don't think they're bad, but I don't prefer them as in a lot of ways. So we and we flipped Gamma for my secure, and we flipped Scrolls for the extract. So me and Les just kind of looked at each other. We shrugged our shoulders, and he chose 15. So he chose for his 15 was Immortal Hulk, Blade, Voodoo. So I chose 15. We went and I was like, well, I'm gonna pick something you can't pick. So my 15 was Dracula, Immortal Hulk, and Iron Fist. So I did play the Dracula leadership. I became really close to just bringing the card and Siege of Darkness and selecting Midnight Suns leadership. Midnight Suns is my affiliation to be able to use Siege of Darkness. Thankfully, I didn't because I moved Iron Fist to the center point and promptly got dazed. He did the one below all and bumped his Immortal Hulk up. So he was able to do that. But that put his Immortal Hulk on the center line, which allowed my Immortal Hulk to come up and punch it and throw him. And then it allowed my Dracula to come up and do the same thing. Being 3-3, retaining priority. So I was able to, in the first activation of the second round, Immortal Hulk, his Immortal Hulk. And I believe I dazed him at this point. So he was able to KO Iron Fist. And I was able to daze his Immortal Hulk, which is a trade I was willing to do. Because when his Immortal Hulk dazed, I didn't daze him with Immortal Hulk. I left him on like 2 health. His Immortal Hulk was able to kill my Iron Fist, I believe throwing my Immortal Hulk into him plus attacking. Iron Fist was set up to Iron Fist, so like it did make sense to try to get rid of him. So he was able to kill him. However, it left him with 3 power and 1 health left. So I was able to KO him. He only was able to remove. I think he had 2 power left, so I gave him the 3rd power. He was only able to remove 3 health from him. And then retaining priority, I was able to KO his Immortal Hulk. During this, I think I also dazed Blade, and then I was able to KO Blade. At the end of this, Iron Fist was gone. I had a Dracula that ended up getting dazed, but I had a fully healthy Immortal Hulk. And by fully healthy, I mean no damage on him, and the only character he had left was Voodoo. And then it became a game of getting points, because I was down in points until this point, because he was actually scoring points, and I was just killing all his stuff. So then I did spend the last 2 to 3 rounds of this game just collecting points instead of killing Dr. Voodoo, which again ended up working out for me, because we did play 6 rounds and the final score was 13-9. We did not. This was not a tabling. And I did I got a message shortly after that said, "Hey, like, oh, what happened? Did you table less to win that game?" It was 13-9, and I was like, "No, we played 6 rounds."
Low scoring game.
It was a slugfest. The 2 outside scrolls never got touched.
That's
no one ever
crazy.
went outside. There was 1 gamma damage assigned the entire game, and that's because I threw Immortal Hulk away, and he took gamma damage that way. It was the only time anyone was relatively outside of the gamma.
Okay.
We had the most fun in that round. I don't care what anyone says.
I'm sure you did. Fred, you're up next.
Okay, so my final round was against Michael, and we drew my Cosmic Invasion because I had priority, and then we drew Michael's Struggle for the Cubes, and he chose threat value of 16 for this game. So I played the exact same thing that I played the last round. I played my Core 9, Miles, Black Cat, and Spectacular Spider-Man. Then I played Ghost Spider and Spider-Woman. Michael played he played Baron Strucker, the Wrecking Crew. He played Bob, Agent of Hydra. He played Spider-Woman and one other model, which I cannot for the life of me remember what it was, but it wasn't super relevant. This game it plays out like most of my my Web Warriors games, where I'm doing okay and I'm getting attrition down pretty hard, especially with the cubes, because I hate cubes. Cubes really, I don't have the survivability to take that damage that's really eaten away at what I can survive, at what I can do. But then there was a round where if I didn't do anything, I was definitely going to get wiped out and not be able to do what I need to do. But something good happened. I was able to all webbed up, and in so doing, I was able to daze both Spider-Woman, both his Spider-Woman and the Wrecking Crew. And when I did that, I was able to pull this round out, and it won me the game. I won 18-16. Again, because of a well-placed all webbed up. And yeah, that's it for my game.
Okay. You kept it short and sweet. I like that. So
someone just knocked on my door. I need to go. I need to go find out what's up.
Okay, go ahead, Fred. And the final game, the game that really matters, Steven versus Borka. How'd your guys' game go?
it?
Well, he pulled out something I've never seen before, and I was a toddler fighting a grizzly bear. So
Yeah, yeah. I learned in our game that Steven had not played against Thanos, and that's the last round of a tournament is a terrible time to get your first game against Thanos. Um, I lost priority again, and for the third straight row there. I will say I kind of like losing priority with this list because what tends to happen is my opponents pick my secures because they don't like the idea of gamma and demons, and so we go to my secures, and I've got research station in there, I've got hammer, and it's the one with the power cores or whatever is the third one. But I kind of like playing on my extract, so it kind of works out. I also like being able to pick threat, and I picked 15. And I took Red Skull, Thanos, Mindspace Thanos, Zemo. Steve had Green Goblin, Rhino, Sandman, and Mysterio, which it was a good pick. You know, I like that at 15. But yeah, go ahead.
yeah, well, having everybody who's a slow mover besides Green Goblin was not a good choice on my part. I probably should have switched one of my guys to. We were discussing this. I probably should have switched to Ghost Rider and done like Doc Ock and Lizard, at least to have a little bit more quickness. So.
Yeah, and then we talked about too. Ghost Rider in hindsight, Ghost Rider would have been kind of nasty because my first couple attacks in that game were like 3 and 4 crits. You know what I mean? It was just it was pretty gross. Yeah, the first turn was kind of developing well. He put the Sinister Traps over in front of my Zemo. And the last time we played, he put 4 damage on my Killmonger with his Sinister Trap. So I just said, you know what? He can have that spot. I'm not taking it. I just double move Zemo away to the center objective and left the Sinister Traps there. Now, unfortunately, because I had 3 people, he had 4 people, he had moved Goblin and Rhino in from that side. And I was able to teleport one of them back, but the big thing was I was able to push Rhino into his trap, and then it did damage, and he finished. He finished all the way against the far side of the board after the first turn there, and you could tell Steven immediately was like, "Oh, okay, this sucks." You know what I mean? He saw what a pain in the butt Thanos is, especially at lower threat value. So it was just like I told Steven, I thought he played really well. It was one of those things where it was a really tough matchup for him, and then early on I had really hot dice too, so it was a bad situation that just got worse.
Okay.
Did we just lose Steven?
Is that him back?
No, that was. Sorry everybody.
Yeah.
For some reason we just lost Steven.
So
that's how much Steven hated our game. That he's like, I don't even want to listen to it. You know what I mean?
So Borka wins the tournament. Congratulations.
Yes.
He got the.
It
big
felt good
prize.
after the last BEC when we went to Pittsburgh. I had a terrible time. I got murder-lated. I had just bad luck, bad matchups. It did kind of remind me my original mindset when I first got in the game that this is a game about aggression, and I had been playing some Kingpin, and I like the more methodical scenario play, but I kept running into situations where it was like somebody would do a 5 dice attack and just kill Shadowlands, top to bottom. So stuff like that kept happening, and it was frustrating. I was like, you know what, I'm going back to an attrition build. I really like Red Skull 2 or 3, right? when he first came out.
Yeah.
Initially though, I kind of felt like you had to take one of the Winter Soldiers for Soldat Activate because man, he's so squishy. But what I've learned is now I just take such nasty stuff with him that if my opponent's like, well, I'm just going to get rid of his Red Skull, it's like, okay, Ultron and Hulk and all these other guys they're going to punish you for it. So the nastiness of the list really kind of protects him, and then his leadership is just it's silly. I've been watching some of the Las Vegas stuff that those guys are streaming, and there's a lot of Cabal running around. I was like,
It's not
okay,
surprising.
yeah, because I thought the meta was going all to Asgard and everything is from what I've been seeing, but it's like oh no, okay, I guess there's gonna be a lot of good Cabal out there.
It's a lot of Cabal.
Yeah, I mean they're good. I've been, I'm
You
a
have to
broken
have
record.
a plan for them. They're one of I examine the results and stats a lot, and Cabal is everywhere. They kind of have that weird thing that Avengers had for a long time, where they don't look like they're as good as they are because people are picking up like the core box and playing games with like just the core box,
Mm.
and it's like they'll get some bad. They'll
Oh,
get
you
some
mean like
OG
new players, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah. Like new
affecting their
player.
rating. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
So they're not as high on like the overall standings as they should be, and then you look and they're like, oh, they have like 2,000 more games played than everybody else, and you wonder why. And it's like, well, it's because new players buy a core box and then they play in events and
Right.
they don't know how to play the game.
Yeah, just the core of Red Skull, Ultron 2, and Zemo. I mean, for me, that's so good. Like between Zemo and Red Skull's leadership, you're doing great attrition and you're really smoothing things out with the reroll. They're just super consistent. And then Red Skull and Ultron, they've got great throws. They can both, scalpel move characters around the battlefield, or Red Skull can bounce around. It's a very toolboxy list that also punches up. And then Red Skull's nice because his main attack is energy or mystic, and most every model, one of those stats are small. You know what I mean? So he can usually get favorable matchups with his attacks and the stuff. And Dark Rain is just silly. I've said it a million times. Being able to just, oh, you brought a Hulk, cool. Dark Rain, we'll get rid of him, and just have it in an answer for most kaiju, with just your whole team being able to go into him. I mean, do really good damage when you get under Dark Rain. So yeah, it was a fun tournament. Last tournament I went to, Steven actually, he beat me. He got off an incredible Grand Illusion turn. And it was the turn where I was gonna go on top. I got the usurp off, and I was like, all right, everything turns here. I'm gonna attrition him down. And then he boom got my whole team in a Grand Illusion. I was like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna stand here and not do anything. And he stole the win. So I was gonna tell you, Steven, I'm 10-1 in tournaments with this list so far, and I had to restart my winning streak because that one loss I had.
Oh, geez. Well,
Yeah, but I learned my lesson from it though, and I was more prepared. In our game, that was the one thing I teleported his Mysterio back on turn 1. I got him as far away from the fight as I could to start things.
yeah. Well, I'm glad you're respecting Mysterio now. So.
Yeah. Grand Illusion's no business. Poor JP, he was talking about it at dinner, and he said, he didn't even know that card was in the game, because they have a really small meta down there, and he was like, he hates it. You know what I mean? He's like, he was so torn up about it. He's like, this is awful. I can't believe this is a card. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's a good one.
When I play Mysterio and I do the Grand Illusion correctly, it probably wins me 80% of my games, to tell you the truth.
Oh,
And
yeah, I believe it.
It's just incredible. But you knew the tech, and like I said, my mistake was probably taking Mysterio and a bunch of other short movers on that. Incidentally, with that Spider Foes list that I have, with the little tweaks, but keeping the core that I do, that list is 9-1, actually.
Oh, there you go.
So
we've exchanged our only losses to each other.
correct.
Gotta have a rubber match at Brew Brawl.
It's fun.
Well,
it's funny.
Unfortunately, I probably will be moved to South Carolina by that time. So,
gotcha.
But yeah, we'll see what I can do.
Yeah, it's like when we talked about it after our game, Steven, you were like, I think I thought about taking Mysterio, and I was like, I need to be very clear that I would have ran up into Mysterio and I would have killed him because I would not dealing with that card. Dracula would have been sitting right beside him, ready to just sit there with extra power and be like, all right, you're gonna have one block, I'm gonna kill you. I was,
fair enough.
yeah. Like I mean, because like Mysterio, like inherently and like not great, and like, but the thing is too, like when you think about it, like Spider Foes have gotten a lot better, so like they can kind of take a not so good model that has a great tactics card that can truly like change the game. Which
It also
before
gives you a little
really
more
couldn't
mystic
do.
too, yeah. Which does
Some
hurt 'em.
variety.
Yeah.
It's the only mystic in Spider Foes.
Well, there's one thing I haven't done with him yet, which I want to try, and I haven't done a custom upgrades on him yet against somebody. I think he would be very dangerous with that.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Okay.
How does the dice work with that? Would if they don't pay the 2, he would?
No. I picked that character. Let's say I picked like Red Skull or Loki. Okay.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, I get 2 more dice in my attacks against them, and 2
Right.
more in my defense. But everybody else attacks him at -2 defense, which I would be technically a 1-1-3 on
Right,
that.
that's what I was saying. Yeah, it's the 3 on the Mystic defense.
So it's not so severe. You know
No,
what
it's
I
not
mean?
bad. If they can't pay, you're rolling a pretty common defensive score at that point, and that kind of negates. Yeah, one last thing I will say, like even after the rough first 2 turns, he was in a spot where he unfortunately had to go with his Mysterio first because he moved Mysterio down and had Thanos, and pretty much my whole team was under Grand Illusion. So he popped Grand Illusion, and then he did surprise Webhead. And unfortunately, he couldn't get through, but he also did custom upgrades on Goblin. So if Goblin was to activate, he was going to annihilate Thanos. You know what I mean? He was going to go in. But I was able to charge and steal rain and do Thanos' buffing ability where the extra dice like kill command or whatever it's called. Yeah, Death's Decree, thank you. With full rerolls, and that was outside of the Grand Illusion bubble. Kill Goblin before he could murder my Thanos. But yeah, it was a good game. I mean, I thought, like I said, it was unfortunate for Steven his first game against Thanos there, but it hit him early. He wobbled, but he did recoup and got back on game plan, and it's still, he made it. I had to get Goblin, or that game was going to get dicey quick because he did Sandman Spender and dazed Red Skull with 10 dice or whatever it was. So it was still going to be a ball game.
Yeah. Goblin going away was pretty, and like I said, Rhino really wasn't that effective in the whole thing. Yeah, Sandman, Mysterio, and Goblin did most of the work. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the tournament went smooth overall. Very few judge calls, like always. MCPs, the players know what they're doing. We don't.
And when we needed Brad, he was nowhere to be found.
That's not true. I was just sitting talking to JB. You guys didn't need me that much, and I came as soon as I heard my name.
To be fair to Brad, he was probably trying to fix that terrain you broke, Brandon.
That's true. I haven't.
To be fair, the only questions we had at any point were just sizes of terrain. Because when me and Les played, we were on the Weapon X table, which had a lot of custom terrain, or not necessarily custom terrain, but different terrain that Brad had not labeled yet. It is now labeled because we labeled it last night, but it wasn't labeled at the time. And I was like, I'm going to throw this. I have no idea what size it is. And I'd be like, I'll be back.
Yeah. It went well. It seemed like everyone had fun, and I'm going to turn it back over to our regular host and our fearless leader, Fred.
Not even going to go over the final standings? This guy.
Oh, yeah, I could do that. Except I closed the tab. We'll come back to that.
I've got it real quick if you want to.
Oh, yeah, go ahead then.
Yeah. Susan's load. So I was in first, followed by Brandon Hart in second. And it came down. So Brandon Hart was in second, Steve was in third, and Brandon Akers was in fourth. And their strength of schedule was all 1.69. And his VPS, Brandon had 66, Steven had 65, and Brandon Akers had 64. So 2 points is what separated those three guys to do the placing for second, third, and fourth. So
and I want to
very
point out
tight.
they all got the same payout because they all got 3 and 1. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just funny because I made this inherent move early on. I'm like, well, I guess I need to get victory points just in case for tiebreakers. When I was getting my ass kicked by Stephen, and it came back and put me ahead of him in the standings.
Yeah.
Which isn't, like, realistically, like, first was Josh, second was Stephen. Like, that's how it works. Like, with this, like, the random stuff, I did have the most victory points in the entire event, which makes no sense to me because I wasn't playing Criminal Syndicate normally. That is the case.
We've learned to stand on things. That's a big part of this game.
I do understand the big point of this game, which is standing on points, which apparently helps.
Syndicate taught you well. Yeah.
A couple more highlights from the standings after the 3 and 1s is Fred got 8th. He was 2 and 2. I think that covers everyone that's on the podcast. Michael, as I mentioned earlier, went 0 and 4 and got last. But Michael was there mostly to get the tactics cards. That's what he said at the very beginning of the tournament. He's like, I signed up for this to get the tactics cards. I'm like, okay, that's fair.
Which were awesome, by the way. We didn't mention those. Brad made some really sweet custom tactics cards for participants.
There is a fun little statistic that I'll go over real quick. 11 of the 12 players played Brace for Impact. Only one player did not. That player went 0 and 4.
Oh.
Okay.
Fun little stat there. Well, because I was trying to figure out who didn't play it, and I was like going through everything. And also, he only registered 9 tactics cards, but he did register 2 other restricted cards. I think he had Fallback and Sacrifice, if I remember right.
That sounds
so
right.
Definitely had Sacrifice. I used it in our game.
I believe it was Sacrifice and Fallback. Because I was like, well, there's only 9 cards here. And then I was like, well, maybe he just played Brace and just forgot to put in his list.
Nope.
And then I was like, no, there's Sacrifice. And then, it's Patch Up. I was like, and there's Patch Up. I was like, so he just didn't take it. And I was like, well, that's a fun little hilarious statistic if I didn't say so.
Now to our fearless leader, Fred.
Okay, so today we're going to be covering Black Panther, otherwise known as T'Challa. His defenses are 4 physical, 3 energy, and 3 mystic. He has 6 stamina on both sides of his card. He has a threat value of 4. He is a size 2 and a movement speed of long. Hey, Brad, why don't you do his first attack?
Great. His first attack is physical. It's called Strike. It's range 2, 5 dice, cost 0, gain power for the damage dealt. And before damage is dealt, if the target character is size 3 or less, push the target character away from this character short. That is not optional.
Yes, that's correct. It is not optional. Hey, Borka, why don't you cover his spender?
His spender, Kinetic Burst. It is a range 2, 6 dice attack for 3 energy. When making this attack during the pay power cost step of the attack, this character may spend up to 3 additional power. Add 1 dice to this attack roll for each power spent in this way. It has a wild explosive force. After the attack is resolved, other characters within 2 of this character are pushed away from its small. Push characters suffer.
All right. Hey, Brandon, why don't you do his affiliation and his first superpower?
His affiliation is King of Wakanda. It's a Wakanda leadership. While an allied character is attacking, defending, or dodging during the modified dice step, it can spend 1 power. If it does, it may reroll 1 of its dice. He has an active superpower called Mantle of the Black Panther. For 2 power, when making attacks this turn, this character may reroll any number of its attack dice.
All right, and Steven, why don't you finish out the card?
Sure. We have an active superpower called Pounce. It will cost you 2 power. This character is thrown short. Do not suffer damage if it collides with another character or terrain feature. The superpower can be used once per turn. And last, we have an innate on his front side, which changes on the back side. So, innately, on the front side, vibranium armor. When defending against a physical or energy attack, this character adds planks in its defense roll to its total successes. The change, it becomes a reactive that will cost you 2 power. And when he's defending against a physical or energy attack, he can use the superpower, and you would add 2 dice to his defense rolls against the physical or energy attack.
Okay, so this is an older character. Is this guy's in the core box, right?
No.
Or is he?
No.
Hey,
No,
Fred,
he's
did,
not. He's
did we
very-
say Mantle?
Mantle
Man-
of the Black Panther?
Yeah, did
Yeah.
somebody say it? Okay.
Yeah. Brandon said it. It
Gotcha.
is an extremely powerful effect. Mantle of the Black Panther. Borka, you have played this character quite a bit. I know. In fact, I know very much that you have used Mantle of the Black Panther alongside one of the tactics cards to extremely good effect.
Oh, yeah.
Would you like to talk a little bit about Black Panther?
Sure. Sure. I love Black Panther. He's the first character and affiliation that I really got into after my initial Avengers when I first started playing. They were actually nerfed, right? Because him and Shuri could push any size automatically originally.
Yeah.
Then they turned it down to size 3. Fair and balanced, because before it was silly. Yeah, there is like no fat on his card. I mean, everything is great. He's got good defenses with the rolls. I mean, literally the only thing he doesn't like is attacks, but that's pretty common for a lot of people. He's a long mover, which is excellent. Pounce, Pounce is such a strong ability on characters. 3 guaranteed hits is for 2 power is excellent, and then it just it adds more. It's got a good man. I like his leadership. I think it's the same one that Iron Man 3 has, different names. I think it's really good. It's versatile. Comes in to play in a lot of places, and I think he's great under Avengers. I think you can play him under all the leaders. Sam is whatever, but I think under Captain America, he does well with both of them. And then he's a leader for Wakanda. I think he's probably the most consistent leader for them. And you were talking about the Bat's Blessing. Is that what? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know I bad touched Fred with the ability once, but so Bat's Blessing, it's a tactics card. Now, to be fair, it takes quite a bit of tactics cards to pull this off and power, but it's not unreasonable, especially if you get off Spiritual Wakanda relatively early, up in a good spot. But it's an attack, and it's range 3, 6 dice. It's Mystic. Before damage is dealt, place this character within 1 of the character that you're targeting. And then it has Double Wild Hunter's Joy. Choose an enemy character within 2 of the target character that has not been targeted by the power of the Mother God with this attack. This turn, this character makes a Power of the Mother God attack, meaning the chosen character. And it's 3 power to do this attack. So I pair this with Bari Chieftain, which adds 3 dice, right, to all of your attacks for the turn. And then Mantle of the Black Panther, which allows you to re-roll any number of dice when making attacks this turn. The character may re-roll any attack dice. So against Fred, was it 5 characters that he dazed? Yeah, we were playing on an E right down the middle, and he just 9 dice, 4 rerolls. Oh, 2 wilds. Pick that guy up. Bounce into the next one. 9 guys, 2 rerolls, and he just jumped right around and just dazed his whole team. And even when you don't have the perfect turn like that, it's a pretty consistent way to knock out any 2 or 3 characters that are bunched together. But it is kind of like I said, it's a little resource intensive to use it. And then, but yeah, I can't say enough. I mean, I'll talk about him forever. I love him to death. Wakanda Forever is such an amazing card with him because you can pounce in and just do 2 strikes in Wakanda. You can move 3 guys off of him if you need to. He's a good scenario piece, good attrition piece. I love him to death.
Another thing about Mantle of the Black Panther is that it is all attacks that turn.
Yeah.
So you get reroll any number of dice on every attack that turn, including your extra attack from Wakanda Forever, including any attack like extra attacks you generate during using tactics cards. Like for 2 power, this is maybe the most cost-effective rerolls in the game. For 2 power, you get to reroll up to any dice for up to 3 or more attacks. I mean, that's bananas. That's really good.
Right, and then you factor in his leadership, and if Shuri's staying around, she adds more. As long as you're staying away from skulls, you can smooth your damage out pretty consistently with.
Yeah. Brad, what would you like to speak about Black Panther?
So I've mostly been on the other side of Black Panther, playing against him, not playing him himself. And the thing that I found the most frustrating about him in any list he's been in is how hard he is to flip in the first place. Once you have him flipped, he's usually not too bad to kill. So I've tried to, when we're setting up, put someone like Psylocke or another mystic attacker kind of close enough on that side of the board that they can deal with him. Because if you don't have mystic attacks, he just never gets flipped. So that's the big thing is like he feels really tough to deal with unless you've got those mystic attacks.
Yeah. Steven, what I know you've also played quite a bit of Black Panther, haven't you? What are your thoughts here on this guy? Oh, Steven's muted. Sorry.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, he's back. There you go.
Sorry, I had a little coughing thing going on. So, no, I like him quite a bit. I played him in my Avengers very effectively. But the most fun I've had with him is in Web Warriors under Miles. Because unlocking those skulls on his rerolls of Mantle, that's pretty spicy.
Oh, yeah.
You're saying I should put him in my Web Warriors list.
You should.
Yeah.
You should.
I like it.
I certainly would consider it.
Long mover, auto pushes, yeah.
Crazy
exactly.
mobility with the pounce.
Yeah.
The pounce just adds mobility, man. That's just
And he could be that. He could be that one. I mean, he doesn't get all webbed up, but he could be your missile that takes out those hard targets. If they're holding something. If he's holding something.
Yeah. He's weirdly like he covers every aspect of a character. He can do a lot of damage because kinetic burst you can pump it up to roll 9 dice, which is pretty bananas. He is mobile as can be. He's one of the most mobile characters, I think, because he's got long move and a pounce. He can cross the board when he needs to, and he's tough. He's hard to kill. He's got 12 health, which is pretty good for a 4 threat, and he counts blanks on his front side, which is really hard against physical or energy attacks. I mean, he does everything. He's a little bit of everything. Brandon, what are your thoughts here on Black Panther?
I mean, I think it's pretty simple. Like, he does pretty much everything, and he's like the only time he's not good is if they have a bunch of mystic attacks. To even trying to counter with mystic attacks is tough because again he can just long move, and then he can pounce himself. So like he can get away from anyone, he can catch anybody. Like he's just a really good piece, no matter really what your game plan is. And we've got 3 Black Panthers now, and they all have tactics cards that are like they've all just been getting these like generic T'Challa tactics cards that just keep making this one so much better. And it's
Right.
just kind of like it's just funny because it's like the two that we keep talking about, I believe both came out with King T'Challa in the $100 box that like nobody owns.
I own it.
Yeah, besides Josh. Uh, the but it's just kind of funny because it's just like they keep coming out like, oh, this will be really good on the like 5 threat T'Challa, and it's like, nah, we're gonna play it on the other one. And then we got chosen a Bast, which completely believe was designed originally as a different character, and then they were like, we can't let these two coexist in the same affiliation and be able to be played at the same time. So then they just changed everything to T'Challa, and then it was like, oh wait, there's another tactics card that's pretty good here. So it's just kind of like he's just benefited. And I believe the only thing that got nerfed when he got changed was just the size.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So this character's been really, really good for a really long time. Um, and you can play him literally anywhere. Like he can play attrition pretty well because he doesn't really die. He can play control really, really well. Um, so he's just kind of he's a problem when you see him, and if you don't see him often, you might forget how much of a problem he is until about his second activation, then you've realized you're really far behind
Yeah.
because he's pushed you 3 times. He's nowhere near anybody. He's threw himself into you. Like it's just a mess.
And adding on to the cards, I didn't even mention Wisdom of the Ancients, which is unaffiliated. It's either T'Challa or Shuri. They play 3 power. And then this round, when the character that played the card rolls attacks, defense, or dodge, it counts skull results in its total successes. So for 8 power on him, you can do that Bass Blessing, Wisdom of the Ancients, and Mantle Panther. So you're
That was the
rolling.
card he just got in the Chosen the Bass box, right?
Yeah, that one and the other one too. Bass Blessing.
Best bless. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Uh,
these
while
boxes
we're
keep really helping him out.
Yeah.
while we're discussing tactics cards, I think that this would be a pretty good time to talk about Wakanda's tactics card suite. Not all of them, obviously, because there are too many to discuss, and many of them you wouldn't play. But specifically, we should talk about Wakanda Forever. uh,
It's
maybe one of
amazing.
the yeah, maybe one of the best tactics cards in the game.
Oh,
Um,
there's no maybe. Yeah, I mean it's one of the best tactics. It's the reason that like Siege of Darkness costs 2, right? And
uh-huh.
all wet or prize web peg can only attack one guy because they did Wakanda Forever and they're like, okay, yeah, this is ridiculous. This should have cost more.
It's too good.
Yeah.
This is too. It is a Wakanda specific card. It is active, and any number of allied Wakanda characters may spend 1 power to play this card. Each character that spent power may immediately perform an attack with a power cost of 0. This is the cheapest everybody attack tactics card at 1 cost for each attack. And Wakanda has a bunch of effective 0 cost attacks. Like Shuri loves this card. Black Panther loves this card. Uh,
M'Baku.
M'Baku loves it. Like,
Yeah. He's got wild
obvious.
push or crit push, wild pursuit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Range 3. Yeah.
yeah. Um, it is the card that is. If you are playing Wakanda, you are playing this card. It is the first card you grab. You grab this before you grab Brace for Impact.
And Killmonger too, because if he's already attacked somebody, so if you play it on Killmonger, like that was the best way to do it is kind of pushing everything with Shuri and Black Panther, and then your opponent goes to hold Killmonger back so he can like move up, attack, and then you Wakanda Forever, push with Shuri, push with T'Challa, and then have your next 2 attacks have extra dice. Killmonger,
Yeah,
pretty good.
yeah.
Or
I
next
think
stack or so.
it's outstanding. Are there any other tactics cards that are really like clutch to the Wakanda play style?
Yeah, Spirit of Wakanda
Spirit
is
of Wakanda.
yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, so Spirit of Wakanda is a Wakanda-specific active super tactics card. A Wakanda character may spend 2 power to play this card. The character that played this card may immediately use one of the following effects. 1. All other allied characters within range 2 of this character may remove 2 damage from themselves. Or, all other allied characters within range 2 of this character may remove all special conditions from themselves. Or, all other allied characters within range 2 of this character gain 2 power. From my experience, you use this pretty exclusively. But you can't anymore. I was thinking you use this on round 1, but how do you get the 2 to initially play it?
Yeah, they changed it. That was right. What's the one where you could?
Oh, advanced R&D. They got rid of advanced R&D.
Right.
Yeah,
Advanced
that's
R&D got rid of it. Yeah, because they were going up, and then using advanced R&D and hitting everybody. So you basically loaded your whole team up with power, and then a lot of them had like Bill in their list.
right.
And against,
right.
yeah, it was it was degenerate.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are a couple other tactics cards that are not nearly as important to Wakanda. But yeah, let's go back to Black Panther and give him a letter grade. So this character is amazing. He's incredible, and he's so incredible that they keep adding his alias to new models so that you can't play him with them. Like, I think he may be one of the most well-rounded characters in the game. Like, he can do a little bit of everything, and he does it all very well. I think that I'm going to give him a solid A+ as a letter grade. All right, Borka.
Yes.
What are you gonna give to Black Panther?
I give him S tier. I think any faction he can play in, you should take him. And then he's a great splash anywhere, and that's kind of my, to be an S. I don't think you could bring any list that had him as like your 10th guy, and people would be like, "Why are you even playing that? That's stupid." It's like, no, I mean he can do something for everybody. His kid is really self-contained, so even if he's not getting incredible synergy, it's still not terrible to have a little heat-seeking missile that moves long. I think he's an S.
Okay, all right. Brad, what are you gonna give to Black Panther?
A. I think he's got some weaknesses. I think Borka's right that you could play him anywhere and he'll do something for your team. But I don't think he's like overpowered, which is usually where I put an S. It's just A. A's good.
Okay, Steven, what are you gonna give to Black Panther?
I'm at A-. His one detriment is the fact that we see a lot of characters now coming out that do not have range 2 attacks except if they're on their spenders. A lot of range 3 attacks are coming out. So I would say that's the only part of his kit that's kind of a downgrade, to tell you the truth. So,
The short ranges.
yeah, exactly. But other than that, I mean, if they made characters in the 4 scale or any scale, 3 scale, 5 scale threats, if they made them closer to what this character is, so the bottom comes up and the top comes down towards him, I think the game would be in a lot better position.
Okay. And Brandon, what are you gonna give to Black Panther?
Oh, we've got 4 people and 4 different letter grades.
That is true.
So I can stick to the trend, or I can just give him the grade I think.
Give him the grade you think.
If you stick to the trend, you have to go lower than he deserves.
That's fair. I don't. He's definitely not below the A tier. I think I'm with Brad. I think he's an A, and I don't think it's his fault. I think it's just there's been a massive resurgence in models that are probably overpowered, and because I agree with Borka. I agree that like you can play him anywhere and you're never gonna feel bad about it. But it's getting harder and harder to splash models, and it's getting harder and harder to play like especially 4 threats outside of affiliation. I think that's gonna be the only thing that really takes him away from being like a splash model, like because there aren't a ton of great places to be like, oh, I don't want my affiliated 4. So I feel like that is just coming less and less likely. But I mean, this model's fantastic from top to bottom.
I will say, based on that scale too, like I agree. If you're saying S tier is just like broken, then yeah, I think he's an A plus. You know what I mean? I think my S's. I don't even consider the broken guys S's. You know what I mean? I think they're just like they're
There's a
busted.
broken
You know what I mean?
tier.
Yeah, it's the Hulk tier. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
are you up there with Hulk? Oh, okay. You're above the S's. But no, I agree 100%. I think it's a very very fair call me A plus for sure.
All right. Well, that is Black Panther. Brad, do you have any comic books that feature Black Panther?
I do, and since this is the third of the 3 Black Panthers that we have covered, um, I had to go searching a little bit more. So if you want more Black Panther recommendations, go see our other 2 episodes. I didn't write down what numbers they were, but you can find them. You can just if you're on Amazon, not Amazon, YouTube. Where I even get Amazon? If you put name podcast Crit Hit Wild in there and then the name of the character, it'll pop right up. So, the first recommendation is Jungle Action 6 through 24. This is by Don McGregor and several great classic comic artists. So there wasn't a consistent artist, but it's pretty top tier talent. And this is Black Panther's first solo comic, and he had appeared in a guest star in some other comics like Fantastic Four. And now we get his adventure. This is all collected in a collection called Panther's Rage. If you want to find it on Amazon or whatever. Hey, there's Amazon. And this is where the foundational Wakanda stuff is built up. Like they added things to it, the mythos later, but this is the start of all that. And it follows Black Panther from Wakanda to the jungles of Africa and then all the way to the American South, where he is trying to get vengeance on the Klan, of the Ku Klux variety, for some stuff that they have done. So he's kind of all over the place in this, and he's dealing with some things in America that he doesn't have to deal with back home in Wakanda. So, and it's kind of a
That sounds fun.
good sampling of everything that Black Panther is throughout the years too. So,
Hey, Brad.
yeah,
Was he married to Storm at one point?
he was.
Okay.
And I recommended the wedding arc of theirs in one of the other episodes.
Okay.
The other 2 episodes are 83 for King T'Challa and 111 for Black Panther Chosen of Bast.
Okay. Thanks, Fred.
Have you guys not done Black Panther? This isn't
No.
like a redo?
No.
Oh, wow.
This is the first time. So we prioritize new characters. And
Right.
then the second priority is people's recommendations. And then after that, I've just kind of put them in an order, kind of based on release. It's actually based on CP number now. But, yeah, so Black Panther, the second release after the original core box, like in the second wave, we've had
I knew it was early.
so many new characters and so many requests that we just have not gotten to him. We did the core box, we did Hulk and MODOK, and then we just haven't got back to this list of them in order until now. So yeah, Black Panther, first time for him. And then the other recommendation I have is actually very, very new. So I have his like first solo, and then currently he is in the Avengers comic. So this comic started in 2023. It's by Jed McKay, and most of the issues is art by Carlos Villa. That's Villy. Be impressed that I know any Spanish at all. And Black Panther is an important member of the current group of Avengers. He is not the leader, that's Captain Marvel, but he is like, even though Tony Stark's on the team, it seems like Black Panther is the real brains of the operation, or at least the strategist brains of the operation. He's the one that usually comes up with the good plans. Like when they're trying to take out the Stark Sentinels in this run, he's the one that comes up with the plan that works. And I'm not going to spoil what that plan is. I was very mad until the end of the I think it's 2 issues, the end of the second issue, when it's all revealed, and I'm like, oh, thank God. Anyway, and he's also like the stealthy operative of the group. So one of the things going on in this comic is currently, like as of recording, he is in a pocket dimension doing a solo recon mission in there, trying to figure out what's going on, because there's like a whole world in this pocket dimension with these people and stuff. And so he's there alone, like doing this thing. They also in this series fight a bunch of vampires. This is part of the Blood Hunt event, and he gets turned into a vampire and is working with the bad guys in that. Or is he? 'Cause you never know with Black Panther. He's the smart one that figures out all the plans that work. So and then very recently, right before he went into the pocket dimension, his ex-wife Storm joins the team. So there's probably going to be relationship drama coming up too when he gets out of the pocket dimension. But like, he went in the pocket dimension like right after she joined, so they haven't really even had a conversation. So I'm not a big Avengers fan. This series is really good. I like it a lot.
Is Captain America not in it?
Sam Wilson, Captain America, is.
Okay.
He's
okay.
on the team.
I was gonna say, it seems like, Steve Rogers is usually like the plan guy and Tony's the brains. So I was thinking if Steve wasn't there, it would make sense that like T'Challa would be the plan guy.
Yeah.
And Steve would, or Tony.
Yeah. I think I also forgot to mention that the whole series, like the background going on in the series, is that Kang has warned them that there's a series of events that are going to lead up to like the destruction of the universe or something like that. I don't remember exactly how big of a bad thing that's going to happen, but he can't remember what it is. So they're trying to figure that out and stop these bad things from happening, because it's even got Kang scared. So
it's the most important thing that Kang could possibly remember: the destruction of the universe, and he just forgets.
Well, a bad guy like involved in all this like has erased his memory, and and they're doing a heist to get his like data banks have been stolen by the Collector, and the Avengers that aren't Black Panther go on a heist in space to recover the data banks. And when they break in, they've already been stolen, and they've been stolen by the Black Cat, Felicia Hardy, and her dead, probably time traveling father. And they're working for that same bad guy. It's revealed in that issue. Like, there's really interesting stuff going on. There's like stealth missions and vampires and space heists, and it's really exciting stuff. Everybody should read this comic. It's good.
And say the name of the comic again one last time.
It's called Avengers.
Okay.
It's just the current run of Avengers that's going on right now.
Yeah, Kang not someone to just casually forget things unless something.
No. Like, somebody's messing with him and all this stuff.
The only other time I've seen Kang fearful in any comic was in a Conan comic.
Kang,
weirdly enough,
Kang hates Conan.
Yeah.
He hates him.
So does Fred.
Conan has caused Kang a lot of issues, so it's one of those funny things, for him especially.
Okay, that's it. That's my comic recommendations.
All right, thank you, Brad. Hey, Brandon. What affiliation do you think Black Panther would really shine in?
I think that our guest that I'm putting on the spot at this very moment is better equipped to tell you the answer to that question.
Hey, Borka, where do you think Black Panther would shine that he is not affiliated?
Oh, that he's not affiliated? Well, I think we agreed he'd be pretty darn good in Web Warriors, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like him in Web Warriors. I think he's got some attrition play. So any list you want to play, I've had him in Guardians at some point just to have a long mover, and then you put the extra rerolls on him just for whatever. But no, the most sense I think makes outside of Avengers and Wakanda would probably be Web Warriors. I think back in the day, Web Warriors played him a lot, if memory serves, because just like we said, he does everything that they want to do, and then having the auto push it's really reliable to help their scenario play, and then Miles reroll, and just like Steven said, if he's got a hammer, for instance, if you.
Oh no!
I think we may
Or
have
no.
lost Borka.
Am I gone?
You were talking out real bad there.
Yeah, you were gone for a minute. So
sorry. Yeah, I was just saying that I think Web Warrior is probably your best fit with him.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I need to add him into my roster, is what I'm hearing.
It's worth a try.
Yeah, it couldn't hurt.
Worth a try.
Could not hurt.
The last thing is my non sequitur recommendation. So I've already done 2 non sequitur recommendations with Chadwick Boseman, and I was having trouble thinking of another movie I would recommend. So I'm just gonna recommend a video game that I have been playing recently that I'm a little late to the party on, but it's a good time to hop in because there's a new update that came out just recently, and that game is Helldivers 2, a hell of a lot of fun. This game is so much fun.
Fred's jumping on the bandwagon just a little late, but that's fine.
There's a brand new affiliation to fight, and it is a great time. And yes, I am very late on the bandwagon on this one.
What movies did you recommend for him?
Oh, I don't even remember.
Yeah,
that was more than a year ago.
Yeah,
I think it was a while ago.
Did you recommend 42?
No.
He has no idea what that is.
I don't.
Well, he should. America should know. Check out 42.
I at least know who that's about.
Great movie.
There you go.
You also should. It's a great movie about a very important person.
And on that note, everybody, I hope that everyone. Thank you, Borka, for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And thanks everyone else for talking about Black Panther. And I'm hoping everyone out there stays warm. It's very cold here in West Virginia. And have a wonderful week. Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.